Hello, YouTube traveler. You've made your way to the TJ Collectibles Titanium Series YouTube channel. This is the semifinals. We have Taylor, Pratt, and Mike Tomson. I'm going to show you these two players. Here's Taylor on your right, the Elf player. Here is Mike on your left, the Jund-ish player. Now, do you know either of these players, Steve?
I do. I'm very good friends with Mike, and I have friends that are very good friends with Taylor. I don't personally know Taylor, but he has been championing Elves for a while.
A long time, yeah.
Have not seen him play anything else in a while. Michael also has been playing Jund for a while and has not been playing much else for a while. So two pseudo-modern one-tricks at the moment that know their decks very well.
That's the best thing about Modern, right? You pick the deck, Jeskai in your case,
Yep.
and you stick with it forever. And
Yeah.
I love that about it.
I mean, there was less of an argument to take that play style back when there were only 4 or 5 decks in the format, but now when you have 40, you are rewarded for knowing your deck and being able to outplay your opponent and just know every matchup.
Right.
And any given deck on any given Sunday can win because you will play against any given deck.
Exactly.
And so it's rough to metagame fiercely.
You just have to know your deck.
Yeah, know your deck, have a plan, and be able to execute it to the best of your ability.
So here we go.
Exactly
we're on turn 2 here. Mike started off with Thoughtseize, and Taylor is just going to vomit his hand of Elves onto the table. The Thoughtseize took the one business spell. It took the Elvish Archdruid. But Taylor now has 4 power of Elves, and any Coco he draws, any Cord, any Lead the Stampede, any Lord is just really good. So he's drawing live. Yeah. He's like probably 20%, right?
I mean, at this point, So Mike basically needs to play a Goyf here. He needs to just stem the bleeding, even just 4 1/1s. Game 1, you do not have outs to multiple creatures, multiple 1/1s in the Jund deck. I mean, you've got access to Anger's post board, but no Lily of the Last Hope main.
Yeah, he drops to 16 for the Shockland, so he's already at 16,
Yeah.
not facing down 4 power.
These 1/1s are going to do a number. I mean, what are you going to terminate a Heritage
That
Druid?
feels pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, get him.
And it's like probably a little early to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, what if he plays a Lord, right?
You're faced with 4 basically identical creatures. Yeah, if you just untaps and slams Azuri, you're sad. Oh, geez, yeah, just insult to injury. Just the actual maybe best like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 in terms of like
wow,
getting
look at
Thoughtseize through it. I mean, hit you for 4. I've got 7 power in play. You're on a 2-turn clock. Michael's looking at a handful of lilies, and I mean, he's got 1 fatal push. I mean, ever since kind of Reed Duke started talking about playing fewer and fewer fatal pushes and fewer for Thoughtseizes, you got these bolts to synergize with your Bloodbraid Elves. I mean, you got to hope to draw like removal spell into Lily removal spell.
Taylor helping his opponent with the dice.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, the concept of a spin down is
Especially
a tough one.
when it's that big, it's like being faced with an oversized. It's like walking into a museum with the giant installations that are more than real life, and you just freak out.
All right, it's a scoos.
Okay,
that's
so we've just got a 3/3 is good enough to stymie a lot of this board. He's got life gain. That was just honestly better than a
3 mana. This
no.
got to be good.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's a
Just
good one.
Ancestral off the top from Taylor Pratt. This card is messed up. My Elves opponent earlier also today played, just 3 mana, draw 3.
Oh my god, look at this.
You can play the Archdruid this turn. He can go tap his 3 Elves, play Archdruid.
He can one better. He can play the Visionary and the Archdruid.
Yeah, you go cast Visionary, tap Visionary. Oh my, just play your Visionary and then play the Archdruid. You don't get to attack, but you didn't want to. And now you've got Lethal on the crackback?
Yeah.
With the Shaman too, yeah. I mean,
it looks to me like Taylor is setting up this turn for a really good next turn.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me he didn't play both the Visionary and the Archdruid.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
For some reason.
Playing around a 1 mana removal spell maybe, but that seems
potentially
wrong.
There's something to be said for that, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, if he had a 1 mana removal spell again, he
would have used it.
I mean, he terminated last turn. He probably would have used I guess if you only had a 2-drop and nothing else to do, maybe just do that. I'm not sure, but either way, Michael's in a very bad spot here. He needs to draw a removal spell for this Archdruid, but if he does, he's not just dead. That's the problem with Jund, though, is you have no corner turning potential
Right. Tarmogoyf just
many
is not going to do it on
spots.
this board.
Yeah, you don't have cards that draw into a card, that draw into effect, that draws into another card or anything. You kind of intend to get ahead early, and that is not what happened this game. Yeah, you see he's got Inquisition. Actually, that's interesting. So he's an Inquisition as his hand. If you can go terminate your Archdruid, Inquisition the...
Yeah, you have to Inquisition the Shaman. You just have to.
Yeah, I mean, you can't afford to take 5 and then get attacked for 3. So could Inquisition that. Mike actually doing a reasonable job of trying to fight this off. Now, Taylor's in the position of his top decks are 1/1s.
Right.
Outside of the Ancestral Recalls in his deck.
Which there are a lot.
Which, yeah, there are at least 2 more. Oh, no, wow, really? Just 1 lead the Stampede.
I kind of count that as 9.
Collected Company is certainly an Ancestral. Court of Calling is, I suppose, just Demonic Tutor. So
Is that it?
Taylor has got half of his deck are basic lands and 1/1s, and the other half of his deck is just power.
He's counting.
Yeah, counting is not what Michael wants to be seeing, even if it's just kind of gesticulating here. That's reminding Michael that there are, okay, yeah, this looks like a chord. Oh, no, just even better.
Nasty. He's looking for a Shaman. The third Shaman wins the game on the spot, it looks like.
Yeah, well, thankfully Mike has cut it down to 2. Oh, okay, yeah, just
is that it?
Just had the Shaman.
Is that
There
it?
are 4 shamans,
Just Shaman number 3. Is that
Shaman
it?
you for... Oh, yeah, he's just dead.
That's
Shaman him for
that's nice.
$1 million, and then attack you for $1 million if you were at $1,000,001. So that is it.
Elves players around the world rejoice.
Which there were a lot of today for some reason.
There really were. There was a contingent up from southern Connecticut. I was talking to a couple gentlemen who both were playing Elves, and get this, they weren't just playing Elves. They were playing Elves with main deck Steel Leaf Champion and main deck Ghalta.
Ghalta, that's a big boy. I mean, if you looked at this field today, how many Pat's Exiles were there?
Yeah.
Some number of Jeskai, but everything else was kind of like these Karns, and I mean, Karn is obviously pretty good against Ghalta, I guess, but if you can get it under, one of the guys, one of my Elves opponent was playing the Ghalta and the Steel Leaf Champions. Turn 2 Steel Leaf is a big game. Ghalta, a little more suspect. Seems slightly win more, but
slightly.
Can't hit. I mean, you can lead the Stampede into it. You can chord for it if you've got 20 mana or something like that. But can't Coco into it. You can Coco into Steel Leaf, which is real, but it's unclear whether or not we're living in a meta where you want to just have 5/4s. Jund has fallen off partly because of that. The Goyf just isn't good enough anymore, but it's sweet. Give it a try for sure. They can play Damping Sphere and stuff now. I mean, Dominaria has been proven to be very eternal, modern, playable. I mean, Teferi in the Jeskai deck that Mike beat last round was apparently great. Damping Spheres all over the place.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Goblin Chainwheeler, or the Chainwheeler appears at some point in Modern. It's like pretty reasonable against a lot of decks, including Lingering Souls.
Lingering Souls have been just humans. If you're just, if you can just go like kill your Thalia, kill your Thalia's Lieutenant, your Dark Confidants, if they even still play those anymore. There are all sorts of spots where Chainwheeler is actually pretty good. And in Standard, from what I understand, Chainwheeler comes out of the board a lot as well, or just in post-board games is even bigger. I think the Black-Red deck sometimes plays them either sideboard or main. But, I mean, here we see not a ton of Jund. So, Mike not playing any new cards. And Taylor is not on the Ghalta package.
Package in quotation marks.
Yeah. But he's got, just all old stuff. I mean, both of these decks are actually just from years ago. Except for Shaper's Sanctuary being the newest card. We got a Westvale Abbey.
Okay,
in Elves. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, but I mean, both these decks are just time traveling to 2018, where just neither of them have much of a conversation about them. But I mean, like I said, there's just 40 decks, any given deck on any given Sunday. If you know how to play it, you get rewarded.
And you, viewer, are time traveling to May 19th. I don't know when you're watching this, but it's probably not May 19th. So thank you for joining us. If you want to get entered into a drawing, you may not have heard about it. I was talking about it in some of the other videos. But we're going to be opening a German Judgment pack. And you can win the contents of that pack. So this is a 16-year-old booster pack in German, one of the hardest languages to find. All you got to do is write a comment on one of the videos from this playlist. So let us know what you think. Give it a thumbs up, too. You don't have to do that, but you should. And you can win that. So let us know what you think. Let Steve know what you think of his commentary. This is his first ever time doing this,
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
Breaking in. It's fun. It's less spooky than I think a lot of people think. So, I mean, if you think that you would like commentary and like talking about Magic and just as the play-by-plays roll, see if either your LGS might even be able to start a recording kind of setup going. Anything along those lines might be great.
It's fun to just stream an FNM, you know?
Yeah,
It really is.
I mean, there's a lot of I forget his name, but I think his name is TJ. Coincidentally, some store somewhere in the U.S. would stream their FNMs or their Wednesday Night Moderns.
I bet they got 30, 50 viewers.
But eventually he even got pulled up to do a Wizards stream at some GP, and I mean, you just run it up. But
we're going to join this game in turn 2, now turn 3. The preliminary elf got bolted.
Not much has
Shaper's
happened.
Sanctuary is a big one. Now, what's this card do, Steve?
So Shaper's Sanctuary was a card that was printed relatively recently, like I was mentioning, one of the newer additions to this elf deck that was originally talked about in potentially Affinity sideboards or Infect, but whenever you target it, one of your creatures with a spell, whenever your opponent targets one of your own creatures with a spell, you get to draw a card.
Right.
And it's just against these spot removal decks, which most of the format is, because you're put under so much pressure that you have to interact early and cheaply. Shaper's Sanctuary is just gas. And here, so it's not going to be great in the face of this Anger, which notably doesn't target, and the Goyf will be able to live through. Michael's not at 7. Both players are at 20 still, actually, coincidentally. But so life totals being real. Michael actually able to deploy his Goyf just as a 2/3.
Oh, good enough against the elf deck.
The spookiest number that you want to really cast him against most of the format with lightning bolts. But Taylor is effectively mono green, no black cards in the sideboard at all. Dismember isn't a black card. If anything, we have more white cards than black cards in the sideboard with Burnt and Forge Tender, and Eidolon of Red Hurk. So the double splash. But Mike has brought in his splash of Lingering Souls, which thoroughly dispatched his Jeskai opponent in the quarterfinals. A card you do not see coming out of Jund at all. But
yeah, it's a white card.
Yeah, I mean Grixis Death Shadow would do this similar of Juke, where you would be Grixis, and if you can conceal your splash, all of a sudden your opponent doesn't bring in their Staticaster and doesn't bring in all sorts of little weird go wide angles, and you just get to Lingering Souls people. And in this case, you can Bloodbraid into it. You can just cast it. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily great in this matchup when you're trying to just kill everything, but flying is real.
By a little time. It's actually nice right here. It gets around the Shaper Sanctuary. Mike trades off 2 flyers for a 2/2.
Yeah.
And Taylor stuck on 2 lands, huh? So he's got a handful of 3 drops. Opponent developing his mana base.
That Westville Abbey being one of the 2 lands as well, but no sympathy for the 12 mana dork deck missing land drops, unfortunately. And Mike is going to jam on that and literally he's going to get in there. An attack for
boom
4/8 potentially. We got instant sorcery, creature, land, 8U. Taylor doesn't even have a way to cast a Cord or a Collected Company here because his creature's a Nettle Sentinel, which is basically Coco would have been his best out. This is fine, just 2 bodies, but you can now trade profitably. You can trade with either of his creatures now if he wants to just triple block. Still missing land drops.
I think Anger of the Gods is coming out.
This Anger is going to be real gross. You're incentivized to Anger here just so that you can get in with your Goyf, cut Court of Calling into Mana Dork. It would be amazing if he was playing a Dryad Arbor to be able to Cord for a Dryad Arbor. To be able to untap, play 4th land, and hopefully Coco. But I mean, you obviously don't want to Cord for a Dryad Arbor in the face of this Anger of the Gods. That's going to sweep him up. He's going to get in for another 4, putting him to 10. Which, if he plays land, nope. So does not have lethal next turn, but he gets. He can flashback Lingering Souls here. Flashback Lingering Souls, and now you do present lethal next turn. And Taylor is looking like he's on no outs. But that's one of the things that happens when you bring these Shaper Sanctuary. It's a card that on its face does nothing. If that was a Mana Dork, this was a totally different game. If this was a Thoughtseize, which he doesn't have or anything like that, but totally different game. So, I mean, that's the problem with bringing these kind of sometimes insane, sometimes do nothing, kind of discard, just Raven Crimes yourself effects out of the board.
Oh, but look, he's going to get to draw one card.
Yep. Draw a card. Doesn't even want to. Oh, found it.
One whole card. Somehow, I think
He's still
Mike Tomson
dead.
can be able to take
Yeah.
this game. In fact, I'm going to go ahead, Steve, and reset these life totals to 20 each.
Betcha.
How do you
Yep.
feel about that?
Treetop Village cleaned it up. Something that you didn't really see. If you super time traveled with Jund, you saw Treetop Village, and then it disappeared in favor of these weird splashes. You just didn't want to play a forest that came into play tapped, but now with Bloodburied Elf, you're incentivized to be a little bit more aggressive. Lane count went up, so your man lane count went up to kind of make up for that, because Jund loves to play just like 38 lands now, instead of which, I mean, it's like standard where you have to play 27 lands in your mid-rangey creature decks, just take your land drop every turn, but that's why I play blue spells, so that you don't have to do that.
Blue spells? There's not a single blue spell in this semi-final
That's true.
in the top 4 decks. So
I was going to say, not even
the
the top 4. I play it, but I'm dead, so maybe that's something to be said for the state of blue right now. We got Teferi, and we'll see how that shakes up, but yeah, literally not a single island. Tommy Kessler was playing a 4-color Traverse deck that had an
4-color,
island.
no blue, right?
No, I think it was blue.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was no. Maybe it was just 5-color then. It had to have been 5-color. Is that him? Yep. Oh yeah, he's just
gotta
full
splash
5.
blue for 2 Stubborn Denials, of course.
Oh, maybe he's not for white. Yeah, he was no white. But so yeah, he was the sole blue player in just. I mean, that's not even blue. I guess the Jeskai deck plays 3 islands, so there were a couple islands, but they swiftly died to these non-blue decks.
Well, it's like pretty obvious how you build a mono green deck, right? You play Elves. It's pretty obvious how you build a mono red deck. You play Burn. How do you build a blue deck? You have to splash. What do you splash for? What color do you splash? Are you playing Blue Moon? Are you playing Jeskai?
In some cases, both.
Shadow, Grixis Delver. You know, blue is tough. Blue is so reactive, and in modern reactivity, I mean, what do you try to react for when you build your Jeskai deck?
I mean, funnily enough, what I was testing today was a new iteration of Jeskai that's under the assumption that, yeah, reacting isn't great right now, especially game 1, and so I actually played a Jeskai Moon Brew today, and we'll be playing it at upcoming events, just kind of tweaking it. But that's the most fun part about blue decks, is it gives you this ability to tweak and fiddle more than almost any other deck. But I mean, you gotta aim for these creature decks, you gotta aim for these humans and hollow ones, and the format has sped up and gotten resilient, and so you have to be playing all sorts of cheap spells, which is why blue decks tend to double, triple splash so that they can get the good 1-mana removal spells. Yep. Modern doesn't have Swords to Plowshares and Ponders and Brainstorms, so it's rough out here. You see the double Cavernous Souls from Taylor.
Yeah, that's not bad. His first elf gets bolted, but Visionary, probably one of his best cards against Jund, huh?
Yeah, just a car. I mean, Visionary is just one of those secretly. It's the Thraben Inspector of Elves, and it was Thraben Inspector before Thraben Inspector existed. Right. Secretly, quietly carrying Legacy and Modern Elves decks to victory. It synergizes with your Chorda Callings. You can, in Legacy, you can return it to your hand and recast it. You can do all sorts of stuff. Less degenerate things in Modern, certainly, with Visionary, but 1/1s that draw a card, I mean, your opponent has 20 life. 1/1s can get there still. The problem that we're seeing here is that Taylor has double Cavern, which produces green mana, but not for those Collected Companies and Lead the Stampedes that he has in his hand.
So 2 mana Elves join the field. How good would Anger
of the
Gods be right here, huh? Now, there are only 2 in the sideboard of Mike Tomson. Does he have a red source and the Anger? Okay,
no red source, but a shock. Does that imply a Liliana? Looking not great. Liliana Last Hope would be fabulous, and that is exactly what we see. So you can kill the prettier elf to get in for the mental health damage. No attack is interest. Oh, just wants to. No attack is a little suspect there. Another Shaper Sanctuary, but he has to spend his green mana to even cast the Shaper Sanctuary. I'm surprised that he didn't. So it looks like his hand is just an elf, a Court of Calling, an Azuri. So Wasn't going to do anything. It's unfortunate there was no collected company there or anything, but this Liliana's going to start machine gunning. Does Shaper's Sanctuary say spell or ability, though?
I think we're about to find out.
I think we are. And Taylor will certainly let us know.
He won't miss that trigger.
No.
I'd be really surprised if he spent his green mana to play Shaper Sanctuary if it wasn't ability.
Yeah, I can
We'll
only
see here.
assume kind of modern sensibilities, literally and figuratively, at Wizards basically just covers most. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
There
it
we
does
go.
trigger. It covers most kind of caveats now by just saying, like, specifying what they want it to do. The old spells were
Right.
spell and not
You know,
ability or
but
only
you know, at the same
ability.
time, Dominaria, it's really weird that green-white uncommon legend, it
Yeah.
only says abilities, which just
Oh,
gets
yeah.
everybody. Everyone doesn't understand
Yeah,
that.
the first 3 times I read that card,
Right.
I thought it just had hexproof, and I was a little too afraid of hexproof in Modern, just being able to play that card.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Thankfully, it's not. It also would have been really cool and limited. You just get a hexproof creature, but Wizards
Probably
does not
too
like
good.
hexproof
Probably too
anymore.
good. Yeah, with good reason. It's
We are never going to see that.
miserable.
No. Yeah, Geist had its moment in the sun, even in Modern, but yeah, hexproof is being faded away as players have realized that uninteractivity is not where they want to be.
I'm sure they'll still make some like mythic rare hexproof creatures, some really like big dumb hexproof creatures. But
Yeah.
gone are the days of like a 2-mana hexproof creature. No.
Yeah, this especially when you have to assume that it's going to have implications in formats where cheapness is relevant and what players look for. Ooh, passes the turn here, theoretically representing, again, maybe it's Collected Company, maybe it's Court of Calling, both of which are not what Michael wants to see. And the good thing is that he could, if he wanted to, main phase the... Okay, Scavenging is first.
Skew's pretty good.
Yeah, I think if you're Mike, you wanted to tick up on that Elvish Mystic, give him the card, but force him to float the mana.
See what's up first, right?
Yeah, because now you're attacking, and this could get sticky.
Right, so here we have a mid-combat
Ooh, looks like
collected
4 lands.
company. Let's
Ooh.
see what Taylor Pratt can hit here.
Last 2 creatures were hits.
Ooh,
oh,
how
that
about
is
that,
a
huh?
dead Tarmogoyf.
Now, if you were Taylor, would you try and block this Goyf down?
Yeah, I think Goyf is only a 3/4 right now. You can
3/4
just
right now.
block with Elvish Visionary and your 1/1 token that's now a 2/2. Actually, maybe just triple block. Your triple
Triple
block.
block
You're
seems
scared of the
much
thing.
better. This of course plays around a kill spell on the Archdruid. Yeah.
Not if it's. Is there some bizarre kill spell that he can put another card type in his graveyard? I don't think he could like do something wacky like Kolaghan's Command.
Ooh.
Discard myself. Pitch a Planeswalker. Shock your Archdruid would be
Lightning Axe,
so
discard
cool.
Bow of Nylea, something like this.
Anything wacky. I mean, John used to play Blood Moons, but they don't really anymore, especially when you're splashing white. But I would love it if this was okay.
Just to terminate.
Just to terminate, nothing super spicy. So the thing is, Taylor still has access to.
Well, he
Court
should
of
definitely
Calling here.
Shaper's Sanctuary.
Yeah,
Good
draw
catch,
first.
Taylor.
Might as well.
Very nice.
Unless for some reason you think that the card that you want to tutor for is the top card,
Perhaps.
but very unlikely. But I mean,
Yeah, at this
you
point,
can't actually no. So all of your elves can tap for green. So maybe there's something that you want to draw there. But yeah, so you can cord for 1 or Coco. Can cord for 1.
Court for 1. Wow,
What do
interesting.
you-
Now, to
what
me,
do you
this
get?
definitely speaks that Taylor Pratt has yet another really good find spell in his hand. Because why would he be courting? Like, why would he be wasting his cord right now?
Well, so the reason he's courting here is because all of his guys are going to die to that Goyf.
Ah,
And you kind of just want that creature density still in play. But so what is he? He just gets a Heritage Druid for mana. So he still thinks that he might be choked on green mana, which you will be, because he's about to Liliana tick up on the elf. Pretty sure you're supposed to tick up. That's interesting. It's definitely something to be said for ticking up on the Elvish Mystic instead. So if your opponent just doesn't have an elf, they have to spend their green. They're probably kind of in the wash, similar effects, but
so here we go. Taylor untaps, draws. He's going to have 4 lands. He's going to
million
have
cards in
5
hand.
mana. If he has any big mana spell, this is going to be pretty good for him.
Agalta, perhaps.
Yeah, oh, that would be terrible right now.
But I mean, Shaper Sanctuary doing the high variance performance that it will do. Last game it did nothing and was down a card and he lost, and this game has just drawn him 6 cards. The scary thing is he's drawn him 6 cards, and he is not winning by any sort of visible stretch of the imagination right now.
This must be why he only plays one, because it's not actually that good, but it is a nice tool to have, right? Like
multiples are, I suppose, they work together where you can draw 2 cards, but I mean, yeah, you just with these creature decks, especially high density creature decks, you can't, and collected company decks, you just can't bring in 4 Shaper Sanctuary.
Right. What are you
collected
signing
companies start missing. Yeah, you start all your creatures are borderline necessary. 3 Azuris. Maybe you just cut Chord Callings because you expect to have all your creatures dying constantly, but you want a Chord for Burnt and Forge Tender to be able to counter the Anger of the Gods. So sideboarding definitely, I mean, one of the coolest parts about just Magic in general. I mean, I don't think any other card games have sideboards to speak of, really. Maybe some of the newer ones because they could start imitating Magic, but Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, from what I understand, I don't think you had sideboards, and that just makes it so you can have 40 viable decks in your format. If there were no sideboards, you have to start playing this next level game that stops.
I'd play Storm
very
every
quickly.
tournament. Or
yeah,
something,
I mean, but now everyone knows. Okay, everyone is playing Storm. What, I have to change my whole deck to beat Storm? I can't even play sideboard cards for it. You get into these really gross kind of next leveling simulations that tournaments become, and that's just not very fun for the player base. So the sideboard,
we got Nettle, right? And what else we got here?
Heritage Druid no longer producing that 3 mana there, so Azuri, one of the best ones.
Must kill.
Must kill. Only 1 regeneration active at the moment with that Elvish Mystic.
Right.
But
and Mike can easily play around that, right? Lily ticks up on the Mana Elf, changes steps, then can move forward.
But I mean, Azuri, the weird part about Azuri is that it can't regenerate himself.
Right.
I mean, probably flavor-wise makes sense, mechanically makes sense, but...
Right, he's a healer. You can't heal. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
otherwise you'd be immortal.
I mean, making yourself ever live forever is often too powerful, no matter your universe.
Oh, the Silicon Valley wonks will be upset about that.
Exactly. But hey, 30 years. Let's revisit that question for humans.
Wow,
but
Bloodbraid
okay,
into
so Bloodbraid
Lingering
top card is
Souls.
Lingering
That's
Souls.
all right.
It's a big game. Got green up. So your Scavenging Ooze, more than anything, this regeneration shield saves. Just prevents combat damage more than anything. You can just make a guy regenerate and block your Scavenging Ooze instead of taking 4. Liliana's at 7, and her ultimate is at 7.
Huh. Honestly, though,
nothing.
that's the kind of thing that Taylor can win through. Like, usually when you hear a Planeswalker ult, you're like, oh, the game's probably over when a Planeswalker ults. But this ult, it'll make a couple zombies. Then it'll make some more zombies. But a Azuri overrun?
Yeah, Azuri basically is going to just be beating zombies heads up.
Absolutely.
Almost always. Doesn't even have close to 2 activations yet.
No, he needs an Archdruid for that.
Yeah, certainly. But, I mean... That's the other weird thing about Shaper Sanctuary is you just draw more kind of piddly 1/1s. That, I mean, it lets you, obviously, drawing cards in any deck is never bad, but Michael not having a removal spell for that Azuri is frightening. He hoped to hit one off the Bloodbraid. So Taylor Pratt's got a hand for 5 cards-ish. Looks like I think I saw a Heritage Druid, a Llanowar Mystic, Elvish Mystic. And yeah, he's trying to figure out how can I build a house of cards from these little 1/1s.
If I were Mike Tomson, I would be like, who traded Taylor Pratt all these elves?
Yeah.
Like, this is not okay.
I mean, the upside and downside of that is that Michael wanted to play against elves more than any of the other 2 decks. And so he hit the pseudo lottery in this. I mean, he was not beating Etron. He was not beating Burn.
Right.
So this is the best you could hope for.
So here we go. We got a Mystic and a Dwynens. Dwynens will trigger. There's Dwynens. So
a lot of elves.
Taylor Pratt really needs an Archdruid, a Heritage Druid, something like this, yeah?
Well, so okay, so he has 3 Cavernous Souls. So that's the issue.
Yeah, that's awkward.
3 Cavernous Souls. Again, showing earlier, like we were saying, he couldn't cast his Kokos, he couldn't cast his Lead the Stampedes, but he can't cast Azuri. He can't activate Azuri either unless he has 3 green mana, which he still doesn't have. even after casting 2 more elves. So I was going to say, if you add up the math, kind of the Crater Hoof math there, he might have even had lethal, but ooh, another Bloodbraid Elf. That's so important.
Oof.
Draw a card. What is this?
Oof.
Oh, just a regeneration. Okay, sure.
That's rough.
Is he going to miss a Shaper Sanctuary trigger?
Oh, Taylor.
It appears so.
I think he just realized.
Mike is doing a valiant. Yeah, and now.
Yeah.
I mean, so we were saying that zombies get beaten by Azuri, but Zurich is now a zombie in that graveyard, and these. You can just, if you're Mike here, you just play to buffer my life total and find the turn in which you can basically just one-shot Taylor. Taylor's looking at his best outs here now are kind of Coco into Shaman of the Pack, and then Cord for a Shaman of the Pack,
right.
and just kind of 20 Michael in one turn. But
so 2 zombies makes Michael
2 zombies
Tomson.
at first.
What, it'll be 2 then 6? Or 2 then 4?
I think it's just, I think it's
2, 4, 8.
X plus 2.
Yeah.
So
Michael's
looking
4
at,
mana. This got to be a Coco.
Yeah. Do you tap your
Oh, maybe not.
Elvish Mystic instead? Okay. Yeah, probably Coco, which is good.
Collected Company. Here we go.
But Taylor's in a spot now where your 1/1s do nothing. Your 2. Wow, do you only draw 1?
There's all the land he needed earlier.
Dejected toss of the little 1/1 there. I mean, that's the thing. He's under such a squeeze that over half of his creatures do stone nothing. He needs an Azuri. 1 is dead. He needs an Archdruid. Archdruid isn't even good here. Archdruid gives you mana and makes 2/2s, but Michael has a recurring engine of 2/2s now that is going to far outpace this. Taylor's basically at Shaman of the Pack or bust. Shaman of the Pack or Azuri or bust. Sideboard cards aren't doing anything. Michael can just sit on his haunches here and just let the board build up. He has lethal in 2 end step triggers, basically. And he still has cards in his hand. He's got an Inquisition that I think, does Shaper Sanctuary trigger on player too?
No, I don't think it does.
Something wacky. Oh, hit the lead the Stampede.
Hits the lead.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Had Michael correctly identifying that his 2 cards are Lead the Stampede, Shaman of the Pack. You go, one's Ancestral Recall, one is
Drain you
Lava
for half
Axe,
your life points.
but
yeah.
the only way you're losing this game is specifically finding those Azuris and finding the additional copies of Shaman of the Pack. If you can just take one of the Shaman of the Packs now, that means that there's only 2 left in Taylor's entire deck. Michael's gaining life with Scavenging Ooze every turn. Even if he goes 10U, 10U, Michael still has outs. I mean, it won't even 10 yet. 7U, 7U, Michael's still alive. 8U, 8U, Michael's still alive. And Taylor's constricted on green mana and can't even necessarily cast too many spells. Well, now he has 2 Mana Dorks, but Flashback of Lingering Souls can start attacking in the air. Taylor is at 11. Michael's about to get 4 zombies. Have 4. So yeah, just 6 to 12, 18, 25, 30 points of damage.
Who says this
turn.
Jund deck isn't a beatdown deck? Look at this.
Yeah. Raging Ravine. He's got 2 Treetop Villages too that both have trample.
Here we go.
Cast the rip the Coco off the top, but again,
2 Shaman.
2 Shaman isn't even lethal here. He hit a Heritage
That's
Druid
something.
and he hit a Archdruid.
Okay. This was a turn ago, perhaps.
Yeah, if this was last turn, now if he could have cast the lead this turn, hit a Shaman. You don't have any creatures that can tutor, which is kind of rough. No Sky Shroud Poacher
matron.
or whatever. Yeah. There is an Elvish. Is there? There has to be an Elvish Matron, right? I mean, not obviously under that name, but kind of surprising that they don't play it. I guess Coco's just better, and you don't hit it off of Coco, but a tragedy.
go.
But
We're
it's
gonna
okay. So now
lead.
you can cast this lead now. 1, 2. Oof.
That's a good one.
Found the Azuri. But if Michael has 1 removal spell in his hand, Azuri is not enough.
Yeah, this house of cards falls apart at that point. Also, he might just be
Is Taylor just dead on the
to
board?
creatures,
Yeah,
right?
so
He's at 11 life. 4 of these fly, so
Yeah.
he's basically at 7 life.
functional 7, and Michael has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 attackers.
Has to block 6 creatures.
The 6 biggest are the Scavenging Ooze, Bloodbraid, and then you take less damage.
Oh, and Treetop Village.
But yeah, the
So he has
Treetop
to block
Village is with
7.
trample.
And he has to block 8 creatures, I think, if my math is correct. So this is going to be really tough for Taylor to survive, let alone have a board state enough to crack back here.
Yeah, can't let 4 creatures through. And if Michael has a single removal spell, forget about it, basically.
Because then you kill the creature that blocks treetop, which is trample. And
or you can even just say, well, the problem is actually removal spell isn't very good against Azuri next turn. But the thing is, I wonder if Taylor's even incentivized to just hold the Azuri for this turn, because now Azuri can't trample over next turn. How are you winning next turn? You're going to get 8 zombies that can block all your creatures. You don't have trample. You can't bust through. But, I mean, he has to block now. But all his creatures are tapped because he had to cast mana, or he had to use them for mana. He's only got 5 creatures up. Michael's got 11 attackers on the ground. Just eat 2 things.
Mike says, well, it probably doesn't matter, but I'll gain 2 more life.
Almost untapped, but yeah, that's going to get blocked anyways. Life probably, doesn't matter. I mean, you got to activate these treetops this turn, but where's the Zealous Persecution? I guess you need 2. He could play Zealous Persecution if he's on Lingering Souls.
That would be fun.
I mean, no, the Regeneration Clause stops some weird stuff from happening, but... So Michael's going to have... If he has a land drop, he can have 1 mana up. Push, Lightning Bolt. Actually, Push isn't even very good.
Here we go.
Okay, he's just
I
in.
suspect that
but not activating...
Wow, really?
So just...
He must have a good spell in hand if this is what he's doing. So, okay.
Or he's punting.
Taylor is going to fall to 7 from these flyers. So, like you said, he cannot let 4 creatures through. So he's going block, block, block.
Yeah. Does Michael think that he can just beat Overrun next turn and wasn't lethal this turn?
Well, it might be 2 overruns.
But if you're double overrunning, you have to tap your mana creatures, which means they're not attacking. Which is, depending on how many creatures you have up, it might still be good enough, but... Yeah, something tells me Michael might have miscounted, or that we miscounted, but if he just alphas there and Taylor's at 7... believe he was dead.
So 3 zombies die. 3 zombies get through, I do believe. Die.
A bunch of elves. But so that's the thing. No, he could regenerate a bunch of his elves. With Azuri.
So it looks like 4 zombies die. 2 are left over.
So what does he have? What is this?
Taylor falls to what I believe is 3. When they update the dice, we will confirm that, but he is in the single digits. And
okay,
here we go. Here's
a Maelstrom Pulse.
Come on,
anyways.
Shaper Sanctuary, Taylor. There we go.
Don't know. Well, so I mean, so that's part of the reason, I suppose, why Michael did that. Maybe it wasn't lethal. Fairly certain it was, but either way, Taylor's under the squeeze. I mean, Taylor needs Azuri here.
Basically.
Though Michael only made 4 cards. Nope, 2 cards do not look to be that, unless that is a Shaman of the Pack that he drew. I mean, your Taylor, you go Alpha. But then you just block 3, 7, 8 creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can take 4. Would have been dead to the overrun. It looks like Michael's got it, but... What? Yeah, because Taylor went to 3 from that attack, so if he had attacked with his 5 other creatures, very certainly would have been lethal.
So Michael perhaps misses an alpha attack. Let's see if it comes back to bite him here. Here we go. What does Taylor have? It looks like he may have drawn a Shaman of the Pack, and now is lining up blocks. He goes, oh, can I kill him?
Yeah, can for some reason he go Shaman you attack, but Michael also has 3 life gain on the scavenging he was floating. So Michael's at 20. Shaman hits you for 3, 6, 7, 10, 11. Puts you to 9. You have 9. You have 7 blockers.
He goes, all right. In response, I'll gain 3 life, go up to 20. And then gets drained for how much?
He's only going to take, it looks like, 6 or 8 here at max. And is... Oh, do you even just play those 2 creatures there? I mean, honestly, this game is an impressive showing from both decks. Shaper Sanctuary drawing like 10 cards. Michael seemingly running away with it with
And
these-
here we go. Last attack of the game.
Yeah.
Can Mike find the right blocks to
So
live?
you know
Are
what?
there right blocks to live?
So, I mean, he's got 9, 4, 7. So he's got 7 blockers. Yeah. This is only going to be he's going to take 6 and go to 2. He can just block all the 3 power guys because Archdruid makes all these 2s, remember? So these are 2s and 3s. You trade with all the 3s that you can and fall to 2. Honestly, the fact that Taylor even found the 3rd Shaman to make this remotely close.
You know what's crazy is that this game came down to, well, many things, of course, but Taylor missing on his collected company. He hit 1 creature. And
Literally
any
one more
creature. Yeah.
one more creature would have been, because Michael's going to fall to it appears to be either 2 or 3. One more creature would have been 1 more trigger from the Shaman and 1 more attacker. So these players are going to figure out all these blocks, and unless everybody is missing something, I mean, Taylor just has to make him do it, and Michael has to just do it. But as long as that is done, it's looking like it. Yeah, Taylor extends the hand. What a great game.
It really was. That was fun
Michael
to watch.
on the finals.
Game 1,
Misses,
Not close. Game
misses
2 not
lethal
close.
and does not get punished. That was great. I mean, and like we said, Mike needed to fade the other 2 matchups in the semis, hit Elves, which isn't even great, but I mean, I would say Elves is probably even favored still, especially with these Shapers, Sanctuaries, and things like that on the board. I mean, he's got 2 more lead the Stampedes. I think going into this match, Taylor was favored, but sometimes Jund. I mean, Liliana the Veil, literally. I mean, not Liliana the Veil. Liliana the Veil would have been unplayable, and those certainly almost came out. But that, even with a Shaper Sanctuary, Lily Last Hope can ultimate and win the game.
Honestly, that felt like an EDH game.
Yeah, right?
Planeswalker ultimate
Drawing
goes
cards every
off,
turn, yeah.
Blood Braids
An
hitting
ultimate
something
that didn't
and
even
not
just
attacking.
Yeah, the ultimates that didn't win the game on the spot.
Yep.
Create still a game after that. Crazy 12 creature alphas on both sides.
Yeah, this game's going in the best of, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
that was really good.
So, guys, this is Zack Hall and Steve Mullihu. We're coming to you from TJ's. That was the semifinals. There's 1 match left in this May Titanium Challenge. Please continue watching if you want to see who wins this tournament. Comment on the YouTube video to get entered into the drawing for the booster pack, the German Judgment booster pack. Could have a foil German Cabal Therapy.
Oof.
That'd be pretty sweet.
What's that? That's got to be like $100 at least.
I don't know. I'd say I mean, how many have you seen in your life, right?
Oh, 0.
Yeah, same. So who knows?
Get Bryant
right?
Cook to get this
There we
foil
go.
Cabal Therapy that's in here.
So, guys, I'm going to stop the recording. This should just autoplay right into the next video. Let us know what you think. Subscribe, like this video, be a fan of our Facebook page for more events. Thanks for watching.